Welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and before we go any further, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on that bell notification. That way, when we are doing our thing, YouTube lets you know. Today, I'm going to be doing another playthrough. Today, I'll be playing through a game of Descent, and I'm continuing my campaign, the Heirs of Blood Campaign. In particular, I'm in the 4th quest of that campaign, which is titled Caladen's Crossing. For those who haven't caught it, you can check out my previous playthrough of Descent, where I go more into detail as far as the rules, setup, and mechanisms of the game. But for now, I'm just going to be playing through this quest, and this is a 2-encounter quest. And right now, I have set up the first quest, the first encounter of the quest. I have my 2 heroes that I'm going through this campaign with. I have Avaric of Albright, who is a cleric and a disciple, and I have Grizzman the Thirsty, who is a warrior, and in particular, he is a knight. And each of them have their particular attributes, stats, and special abilities, and once a encounter abilities. They have their heroic feats, which can be triggered once per encounter. This is the setup for the game. We have some monsters here. We have the goblins, the Vargas, and we have the Eden, the giant Eden here, which will not be in the game currently, but later on will be added to the game. I'm just going to read some flavor text that this encounter introduces before proceeding. It says, "Smoke fills the western sky. You're raced down the open road leading to the small village. A number of the outlying hovels lay in smoldering piles, and you can see the raiders advancing on the village proper. You sweep across their rear line, and a chaotic skirmish ensues. More raiders appear from the river. The villagers create makeshift barriers between the outer houses. Buildings burn, men and monsters die. You notice the boy, Tyrus, hurling rocks from behind one of the barricades. He redoubles his efforts when he sees you charging forward through the enemy's lines." So basically, the goal or the objective of this first encounter, leading into the second encounter, is to try to grab these buckets of water and hopefully put out these fires that are in the cabin and in the house respectively. Meanwhile, while these fires continue to rage on, the Overlord's going to gain certain benefits and place these fatigue tokens, which will progress the game or progress this encounter based on whether or not the fires are still actively raging in these 2 locations, right? All right, so let's begin. We're going to go and start this game. So first we start with the heroes, and I have 2 heroes. I could go with anyone who I want first. And this is the 4th quest in this campaign. So these heroes have leveled up. They have used their experience points to learn additional skills. They have gone to shop to buy additional items and weapons and armors. So let's see. I think I'm going to start. I want to go to this area here, the river right here, and start getting some of these buckets of water in order to take them to the cabin and to the house. Now, you guys may not be able to see, but the house and the cabin do not connect to each other. There's a bunch of walls here. So we would have to take 2 separate paths in order to get to the cabin and to get to the house. So I'm going to have to split these 2 guys up and divide them so that their efforts could be best used. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to move. So on your turn, you get 2 actions. You get options as far as what you could do with that. Plus, because there's only 2 heroes, you get a bonus 3rd action, but that 3rd action must be an attack action. So I am going to move with Avaric Albright, and his speed is 4, which means he could move 4 spaces. 1, 2, I'll move diagonally here for 3. I still have 1 more movement space, so I do not need to use that. I could save that movement space for this current action once I'm done, and I could take an action in between movement, which I'm going to use to search. There's a search token here. I'm going to search that. I'm going to draw the top card of the deck, and what I've drawn here is a healing potion. I can use this 1 time in the game as an action to flip this card over to choose your hero or an adjacent hero, and that hero recovers all heart or all health. Okay, so that's very, very helpful. Avaric Albright, in and of itself, because he's a cleric, he has lots of ways of helping other players recover energy. His heroic feat helps him with that. His heroic ability helps him with that. He also has other things. Oh, wait. Armor. Your speed is reduced to 4 and can be... Okay. You cannot equip runes. Okay, so let me see. What else he's at? Exhaust this card to your turn to choose yourself an adjacent role. So he has the Prayer of Healing, which helps him heal other players. What else? He has this Blessed Strike, which helps him heal other players. He has lots of stats, lots of skills that help him heal other players. Okay, so I still had one remaining move point, which I'll use to move over here. And for my... Oh, no, I'm done. Those were my 2 actions. I searched with 1 action. I'm actually going to stay... Yeah, I'll do this right here. No, I'll stay right here. Yeah. Maybe? No. I'll move over here. Let's create some space here. All right, so that Grizzman the Thirsty can move on. Okay, so we are done. Those are my 2 actions. I moved and I searched. Again, you could get in a 2... When there's only 2 heroes, there's a 3rd bonus action, but it must be used for attack, and there's no monsters to attack right now. So I'm going to move with Grizzman the Thirsty. He only has a speed of 3. He's a slower dwarf. So let's see. 1, 2, diagonally 3. And I am diagonally adjacent to this water bucket here. So we're going to try to recover that. And let's see what the rules say as far as that. Each time a hero enters a water space, he can pick up 1 bucket of water. So I actually have to enter the water space to pick up the bucket. So I forgot about that. So I'm actually just going to redo what I have done with Averick Albright. And instead of moving here, I will have moved here so he could pick up this bucket of water. I'll place it on my hero card here, indicating that I have possession of it. And now let's continue with this sequence here. So I've moved 1, 2, and 3 with Grizzman. I'll move 1, 2. Oh, you know what? I could not have moved into the water. Very important. It takes 2 actions, 2 movement points in order to move to water. You know what? I could, because I could exhaust. That's what I'll do. You could always exhaust. Take 1 fatigue point for each additional movement point you want. So I will exhaust and get 1 fatigue in order to have been able to move into the water. And now Grizzman here will need 1 and 3, 1, 2, and 3 to get into the water, and he'll grab a water bucket as well. Now the problem with these water buckets is that we're still in jeopardy of losing this. Every time a hero carrying a bucket suffers 1 or more health damage, you got to test your might or your wisdom, which are particular attributes here. And if you fail, you will drop the bucket of water, and you got to place the blue objective back into the river. So that could be very, very frustrating. So let's see what we will do here. Okay, so we are done with both of their turns, both of their actions. Now we will begin with the Overlords Actions. And first of all, it says that at the start of each Overlord turn, he can place Goblin Archers on the entrance up to the group limit. Right now, there's no Goblin Archers for him to place, but as these Goblin Archers, who are here right now in this area referred to as the War Camp, as they start to be eliminated by the heroes, you can place them back here in the start entrance tile at the beginning of the Overlord's turn. Okay, so let's see. This Eden here will not come into play until one of the heroes first enters the cabin area right here. Once that happens, the Eden, which is a dangerous and big giant monster, that's why there's only 1 of his type in this particular encounter, he's going to come into play. So we're going to do the Overlord's turn, and the way I usually do the Overlord's turn is I start the game with a hand of 3 cards for the Overlord, randomly assigned. So this is my own way of playing solo without an app and without a human Overlord as my opponent. And what I do is I always I randomly draw 1 card from the Overlord's deck and hand, and then from his deck I also draw 1 randomly, and between those 2 I choose which would be most optimal for him. So first of all, we have Dark Might. You can play this card after you roll dice for an attack and add 1 of these surge symbols to the results. Or you could play Poison Darts. Place this card when a hero opens a door or searches. He tests either his understanding or his might, and if he passes, he draws 1. You draw 1 Overlord. If he fails, he suffers 1 fatigue and 1 heart. So, and it's poison. That's interesting, but definitely the Dark Might right now is probably going to be more relevant. The attacking monster of his choice will get a surge symbol added to their roll. All right, so now the way I also carry out, I always trigger, you got to trigger 1 monster group at a time. I always trigger the monster group based on the proximity to the heroes. So right now, technically, the Vargas are the closest ones to the heroes. So I am going to trigger them first. So this Vargas here, the Vargas has a speed of 4, whether it's a minion or a master Vargas. They have a speed of 4. So we'll do 1, 2, 3. And as long as part of their body is on the tile where we moved up to, that is a legal move. And now this Vargas will get a second action. And for their second action, they might attack. Now let's see what the Vargas does have. The Master Vargas has an additional power, which is Howl. Oh no, the minion one does as well. And Howl, the way you do it is one action. Each hero within 3 spaces of this monster must test this particular symbol here. I believe that's understanding or something like that. And each hero that fails suffers 1 fatigue. That's not worth it. Instead, we're going to attack. We're going to attack. Well, Averick Albright has a lot of ways of protecting himself. So maybe that's not the way to go. Maybe the key is to focus on Grizzman the Thirsty as the weaker player, right? Even though he has more health, he has less ways of protecting himself. So we're going to attack, and the Vargas rolls the blue and red dice in particular when rolling for attack. So let's see what we do here. And let's see. Okay, so this is a melee attack, so there's no need for range. But what we do here have is 5 hearts. So far, the baseline for him is 5 hearts. So potentially he could deal 5 damage to Grizzman. So Grizzman is going to roll. He rolls 1 gray die for defense. But he does have this wooden shield. He does have this wooden shield, which he could exhaust after rolling his defense die to add 1 more shield to the results, just in case he doesn't like what he rolled. So let's see here. And I rolled 1 shield. So I think I will use this wooden shield here. I will tap it, rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, showing that I cannot use this again until the beginning of my next turn where I refresh it. So that in turn adds 1 more shield to this die roll, which means I had 2 shields. So we subtract 2 shields from these 5 hearts that were rolled by the enemy, and that's going to be 3 hearts right there. 3 damage done to Grizzman. And again, in this particular scenario, since Grizzman is carrying a water bucket, he needs to make a test. He needs to test either his might or his wisdom, and his might is clearly the more valuable attribute. So that's the one he's going to test. And the way you test is you roll a black and a gray die, and as long as you roll shields equal to or lower than the amount of dice you rolled, you will be okay. So let's see here. The amount of shields, I should say. So I only rolled 2 shields, so I crushed that skill test, and I will not have to drop the bucket, luckily for me. Okay, so that was just the first monster, the first Vargas. Now we will trigger this Master Vargas. Again, they have a speed of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which will be enough to reach Grizzman, because even though the 4 only gets them to this square, the rule says that as long as part of their body reaches where that space is, they're fine. So now he is diagonally adjacent to Grizzman. He will attack as well. And again, the Vargas rolls the blue and the red dice for attack. And they rolled 3 hearts plus a surge symbol here, which for the Vargas, the surge symbol gives them 2 additional hearts of damage. So that's a total of 5. So now, again, Grizzman's going to have to roll for defense. He's going to have to roll for defense. And let's see what happens here. He rolled 2 shields. That's pretty good. So we're going to subtract 5 from 2 again, and that's 3 more hearts. So just right there, Grizzman has taken 6 damage. His life is 14. So that's going to be a big chunk of that right there. And we are done with the actions for the Vargas. Now the goblins are going to go. And the truth is, the Vargas are kind of in the way. So maybe but the goblins do have range. They're archers, right? So they do have range. The goblins have a speed of 5, so they could cover lots of ground. So let's do 1, a diagonal 2, 3, 4, and 5. They do have Scamper. This monster may move through spaces containing heroes, but it doesn't say they can move through spaces containing monsters. So there's 5. We'll do another movement action for them. We'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. We'll be ready for them when they start coming to the cabin. And then this guy will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these goblins will be waiting for this. The Master Goblin, he's actually going to start heading up towards the house. So we could split their efforts because we know that they're going to divide their efforts themselves. So we might as well divide ours as well. Even though I am controlling the heroes and rooting for the heroes, I got to think objectively for the mastermind of the Overlord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, even though they have range, there's no line of sight. There's no spot they could get to without having used their second action to get line of sight. So I'm not even going to waste the time attacking. They're just going to be here ready for when they come to the house. Okay, so we are done with the Overlord's Turn. A very particular rule I forgot to mention was the burning of the town scenario here for this particular quest. So at the start of each Overlord's turn, I forgot that the Overlord has to place a number of fatigue tokens near the cabin and house based on the following criteria. If the fire markers, which are these red tokens here, are face up, then that tile, that location tile, receives 1 fatigue token. So there's a fatigue token for the cabin, and there's a fatigue token here for the house. Also, if there's 1 or more Goblin Archers on the tiles here, that will receive 1 fatigue token. So considering that, this Goblin Archer still had a few more movement spaces, so he will get into the house, which in the future turn will add to the amount of fatigue tokens that the Overlord can add. So keep that in mind. Goblins being in these areas are hurtful to the heroes. If there's 1 or more Goblin Archer in the unique red space, and the scenario indicator here, if you read the rule book, the quest book, it tells you that the unique space is this little box right here. If there's a goblin there, then the Overlord gets to make a choice of which of the 2 rooms he wants to add a fatigue token to, right? And every time there are 4 or more fatigue tokens on one of these tiles, the Overlord immediately discards 1 of the fire tokens and gets rid of the 4 fatigue tokens. Now, what's interesting is once all of these fatigue tokens or these fire tokens are gone, either because the Overlord has captured them through the placement of the fatigue tokens, or because the heroes have quenched their fire by throwing this these water buckets on them. If either of those conditions are met, then once all of those 4 fire tokens are gone, we are done with quest 1, and we will proceed to encounter 2, I should say. We are done with encounter 1, and we'll proceed to encounter 2. Okay, so we're done with the Overlord's first turn. We will move on to... they did not play this, so I'll just put this back on their hand. We will move on to the heroes' turns, and let's see what we want to do. So we've got the water buckets. We could engage in combat with these dreadful Vargas, but I think we're going to actually maybe try to run. Well, we do get 1 free bonus attack action, so that might as well be used. So I'm going to start with Averick Albright here and see what I could do, because he's a cleric and he has lots of skills and equipment that help him healing teammates. So let's see. Each hero within 3 spaces of you gains the... Oh, okay, so you know what? I might want to go with him first. Let's see here. Each time you use a prayer of healing, a hero that adds 1 additional brown die to his defense pool until the start of your next turn. Place a hero token belonging to it. Okay, that's not bad. So exhaust this card on your turn and choose yourself or an adjacent hero. Roll 1 red power die. And okay, so I'm going to use this prayer of healing card, which if I exhaust this card, it's not going to be an action. I just have to use a fatigue token or gain a fatigue to use it. So that's the second fatigue token on Averick Albright. I get to roll 1 red power die, and the chosen hero recovers health equal to the amount of hearts rolled. So I just rolled 1 red die. Let's see what happens. Hopefully I get as many hearts as possible. That's great. I got 3. So Grizzman here gets to heal 3. That's amazing. Also, because Averick Albright has the Armor of Faith, each time I use the Prayer of Healing, which is what I just finished using, that hero adds 1 additional brown die to his defense. So now, until the next turn at least. So now Grizzman the Thirsty has this brown die at his disposal if he is attacked by monsters in future turns. So that's an additional defense die. Okay, so I am going to use 1 action here to use this Blessed Strike. I will perform an attack with a melee weapon. And if I deal at least 2 damage, you and 1 hero of your choice adjacent to you each recover 2 hearts. So this is not your bonus attack action that you get for free when you're playing with 2 heroes. This is a skill-specific action, so that's not going to count towards that. So I will have to use my first action to attack. It's going to have to be a melee attack, which is it's what Averick Albright does anyways. His weapons are all melee for the time being. And if I deal at least 1 heart, a hero adjacent to me will gain some health. So let's do this. I'm going to attack, and Averick, he has 2 weapons, and he could wield both of them, which is great, which allow him to roll a blue and a red, and a blue and a yellow. Oh, wait. No. I'm sorry. I have 3 items that each require 1 hand, so I would have had to equip 2 of these. So I'm not going to equip the wooden shield for this turn. I'm only going to equip the iron mace. And so my equipped weapons for this round are the iron mace and the steel broadsword. And I'm going to have to pick one of these to attack. I'm going to pick the steel broadsword. I gained it throughout the campaign through the use of my shopping phase. And this allows me to roll a blue and a red die as opposed to the iron mace, which allows me to roll a blue and a yellow die. And the red die is a little bit more powerful than the yellow die, so that's helpful. So I'm going to attack this Vargas right here. And I rolled 4 hearts right there. And that's pretty much it as far as that is concerned. So the enemy here, the Vargas, rolls one gray die for defense. We'll see what happens here. And they rolled 3 shields. So we're only going to deal 1 damage to this Vargas. They have a health of, this is the minion, they have a health of 4. But it does say here that this steel broadsword, you may re-roll 1 red. Oh, I could re-roll 1 red power die, but I rolled a good number for the power die, so I won't re-roll that. But since I used the Blessed Strike for this attack, it says that if I deal at least 1 damage, which I did, you and 1 hero of your choice adjacent to you each recover 2 health. Well, Averick Albright has not suffered any damage yet, but Grizzman has, so we healed 2. So I've already healed 5 hearts from Grizzman this turn, so it's been very efficient in that regard. Okay, and that was just the first action for Averick. So we're going to do his second action. We're going to move. He's going to go towards the cabin. So let's do this. He moves. It's 2 spaces to move out of a water. 2 movement actions, 2 movement points. And he still has 2 more. He'll move diagonal. And he will move here. And now he has 1 more action left. He can move. Actually, he doesn't have an action left. He only has the bonus attack action, right? Because again, the Blessed Strike action, since it's a skill, counts as one of his 2 regular actions. His movement was his 2nd regular action. And then if you want to have a 3rd action, it must be an attack. So I am going to attack one of these guys. I'll attack this guy here for whatever reason. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He'll be attacked. And again, I'm going to equip the steel broadsword to do that attack. And I will roll 2 dice right here. And I got a 4 and a 1. But you know what? Since I only rolled 1 with the red, it says here once per attack roll, I can re-roll the red power die. So let's see. Hopefully I get something better. And I didn't. I rolled the 1 heart again. So that's just 3 potential damage. But we will roll the gray defense die. And they rolled 3 shields. So they will suffer no damage. And I'm done with Averick Albright's turn. Now we're going to move on to Grizzman here. And the first thing we want to do is we want to move. He wants to go towards the he wants to go towards the house. So he's going to use 2 movement points to move into this water space. And he's going to exhaust, because his speed is only 3, to use another 2 movement points to move out of that water. And that was just his first action, folks. For his second action, he's going to use his bonus attack action. You know what? Actually, let's redo that. Before we do that movement, he's going to use his bonus attack action now, because it's better to go for this Vargas, because he's weak and more vulnerable. So we refresh the card, so the wooden shield is available now again. And let's attack. He's going to attack with his iron longsword, and he rolls a blue and a red dice. And he rolled an X, so he missed. So that's terrible luck, folks. Okay, so we will move on from our attack. There's nothing he could do. Exhaust this card after rolling defense die to reroll some or all the defense die. Oh, that's really good to know. He has the Shield of the Dark God. Ooh, as long as you have a shield equipped. Ooh, I forgot that this guy has this new power that I just gained in between quests. He has the defense training. It says as long as you have a shield equipped, which I do, I have the wooden shield, I add 1 additional brown die to your defense pool. Wow, when this would exhaust your equipped shield, such as to use the shield's ability, you may exhaust this card instead. Ah. So as long as your equipment is your shield is equipped, you get an additional brown die added to your pool. And remember, he has a brown die already as it is that he gained through Averick Albright's Prayer of Healing and Armor of Faith ability. Okay, so we failed with that attack. Choose another hero within 3 spaces of you as a monster adjacent to him. That's not going to work. So we're going to move again. We're going to do 2 suffer fatigue to be able to move out of there. And that's his first official action. He only has 1 more regular action. We did the bonus attack action. And again, he has a speed of 3. Let's work our way towards that house. We will do 1, and we will do 2, and we will do 3. And you know what? While we're at it, let's move a 4 space and suffer 1 more fatigue, because he really wants to get closer to that house. And we are done with the hero's turn. We will move on to the Overlord's turn. So first of all, at the beginning of the Overlord's turn, he can do reinforcements. If there were any dead goblins, he would be able to put them back in the entrance, but that is not the case. But also, we're going to look at the fires that are still going on, right? And we have fires going on in both of the respective locations. We have the cabin over here, so we add a fatigue. And we have the house over here, so we add another fatigue. But we also have the goblin in there, which will add an additional fatigue token. Okay, so the heroes really got to get to those areas and put out those fires. So now we are going to, again, at the beginning of the turn, I shuffle the hand of the Overlord cards. I randomly draw 1. Then I shuffle the deck, and I randomly draw 1, and I choose the most relevant one. So first of all, we have Dark Might here. Play this card after you roll dice for an attack, and add 1 surge ability to the result. So we already had that one. And now here we have Plan Ahead. Play this card on your turn. Look at the top 5 cards of the Overlord deck, and place them on top of the deck in the order of your choice. So you know what? I guess I'll just do that right there. And I'll look at the top 5 cards, and I'll see which ones are the most helpful based on having attacks. I'm going to prioritize attacks. So here's an attack. And this gives additional actions, and we'll prioritize like that. Okay, so we're done with that. Now we will move on to the Overlord's turn. Again, I always trigger the monsters or activate the monsters according to proximity. So the goblins are the closest to the heroes right now. So we'll start with these white goblins here who will attack Averick Albright. So first we'll start with this one right here. And the goblins have the blue and the yellow dice that they roll for their attacks. And here we go. They've got 3 hearts. And Averick Albright does not have his shield equipped, so he cannot, the wooden shield, so he cannot use that. But he will roll 1 gray die for defense. Oh no, I'm sorry. Because he has this armor, the chainmail card, he also rolls an additional gray die for defense. So he rolls 2 defense dice. And I gave him 2 shields. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So he will suffer 1 damage. Okay. Then the goblin has a second action. They're going to move towards the cabin. Because again, being in the cabin will help advance the objectives of the mastermind as far as adding those fatigue tokens to those locations. So we will move him. He has a speed of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. He'll be here waiting. Now this goblin will go as well. He will also attack with a blue and a yellow dice. And he rolled 3 hearts plus a surge symbol, which for the minion goblin, that gives them either an additional range or an additional heart. So that would be 4 hearts in total that they will have against the hero, Avric Albright here. So now Avric will roll his 2 gray dice again. And he rolled 4 shields, which is more than enough, so he will not incur any damage. So Avric Albright at this point is such a healthy player because of all his skills and weapons and armors and his abilities that help him. Okay, so we're done with that. Now he will also move. He has 1 more action. He'll move 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and be waiting there in the cabin. Okay, so now the red master goblin here has range, and he has line of sight right here for Grizzman, so he does not have to move, but he's going to have to roll a pretty high range number in order to hit him. So let's see here. We'll roll these 2 dice, and his range is 5, right? Because you look at the numerical numbers here. 4 and 1, so that's 5. And 2 hearts plus a surge, which for the master Goblin Archer, that's an additional 2 hearts. So he has 4 hearts and a range of 5. Grizzman the Thirsty is just 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away. So he has more than enough range. And he rolled 4 hearts. Grizzman the Thirsty, for this current turn, has he always has a gray die available for his defense. He has an additional brown die just for this turn because Avric played the Armor of Faith last turn. And because he has an equipped, unexhausted shield right here, the wooden shield, he'll get to roll an additional brown die. So we will roll these defense dice. And even so, he only had 2 shields among all these dice. So 4 minus 2 is 2. He will still suffer 2 damage. And the goblin will, for his next action, he could have closed the door if he was right next to it, but I actually moved him too deep into it, not thinking about that. So, okay, we're just going to leave it like that because there are 2 open doors leading into the cabin and the house respectively. So now we're going to trigger the Vargas, and we're going to just move 1 to the left and 1 to the right. So first, this Vargas here. Actually, you know what? Avric Albright right now is a little bit of a waste of time. So they'll just go to Grizzman the Thirsty, who now that he's away from Avric Albright is going to be considerably weaker. So let's move, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he can move 1, 2, 3, and 4. And he can be right there. He's adjacent to Grizzman the Thirsty. He will attack with a blue and a red die. And he rolled only 3 hearts. Again, Grizzman for this turn can roll 3 of these defense dice. And he rolled 3 shields, so he's safe for the time being. Now, this Vargas will move 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's not going to be able to attack this turn. But he'll get himself ready. 1, 2, 3, and 4. He'll get himself ready for a future turn to attack. Okay, so we are done with the Overlord's particular turn. And now we will move on to the heroes yet again. So now I got to think about my strategy. Let's refresh these cards here. Do I want to equip the wooden shield? I do not. This guy, again, he has 3 cards that each require 1 hand, but you only have 2 hands. So he has to choose which cards to exhaust. The These are both shields though, so either one will qualify for the defense training. So I'm not going to equip this shield. When you choose to exhaust your equipped shield, such as the use shield's ability, you may exhaust this card instead. That's great. It's great that you could use this card to exhaust instead of the shields. It's very helpful. So yeah, we're done. We're equipped. We're going to move on. Averick Albright is going to enter into that cabin and start wreaking havoc. So, first of all, he's going to go with his movement 1, 2, 3, and 4. And he's adjacent to a fire. He can use a second action in order to try to put out this fire. And how do you put out fire? I believe it's automatic. It says, as an action, a hero that's carrying a bucket of water while in the cabin or house may douse the flame. If he does, and the associated red objective tokens are face up, flip them face down. So we will put them face down. If they're already face down, you discard them instead. For each objective token discarded in this way, the hero places one villager token in their area. So I forgot that as soon as the hero enters the cabin, the Eden actually enters play into the cabin. So I'm going to place him right there. So the hero has just put out this fire here. And they moved into the cabin. So that was their 2 regular actions. With their bonus free attack action, I'm going to attack this goblin that's right next to me. And I am equipped with I'm going to use the steel broadsword. So I roll the blue and the red dice right here. Yeah, let's do this. And I rolled 3 hearts plus a surge, which I can choose for that surge to be an additional heart. So that would be 4 hearts right there. And now we will roll this great defense die here for the goblins. And they roll 2 shields. So 4 minus 2 is 2. So they will suffer 2 damage. Their health is actually 2. So this goblin is dead. Okay, so we're done with that. And now we're done with Averick's turn. We're going to move on to Grizzman the Thirsty. And he's going to move into this house right here. So his speed is 3. He's going to do 1, 2, and 3. Then for his second action, he's actually going to attack that Goblin Archer right there. All right, so he's going to roll this red and blue. And he rolled a pretty good roll. We have 4 hearts plus 2 surge abilities. His surge ability is he can force the target to re-roll a defense die. So we're going to roll this defense die. Let's see if it's worthy of being re-rolled. And they rolled nothing, so they will incur all 4 of that damage. And the Master Goblin has a health of 4, so the Master Goblin is dead. All right. So we're gonna go, and that would be the bonus attack action. So actually, yeah, no, we're gonna start moving back. That's what we're gonna do. I'm actually gonna start moving back towards Averick and helping him quench that fire. So I am going to, with Grizzman the Thirsty, move 1, 2, 3 spaces back. And you know what? I will exhaust 2 more times. I'll get 2 more fatigue tokens to move 1 and 2 spaces back. Okay, so now I am going to do something. At the end of a turn, I'm going to do this special scenario-based ability. It's called Requesting Aid. At the end of any hero's turn, once during this encounter, the hero may request aid. If they do, reduce the number of fatigue tokens on the house or cabin by 2. So I'm going to reduce the 2 fatigue tokens here on the on the house. They're gone. And it says to read the following. Tyrus breaks the barricades and approaches the burning building. Flames dance across his eyes, but whether it is a reflection or some growing power within him is unclear. He rolls back his sleeves, raises his hands, and roars with all the power his small frame can afford. The flames quiver before an unseen force, and the structure regains some strength. After a moment, the boy stumbles back and collapses, clearly drained of stamina. All right, so we're done with that. I do have this heroic feat that I could do once per encounter. Use during your turn to perform 1 attack action This is in addition to your 2 attack actions. So I'm going to use my heroic feat, which when you use your heroic feat, you only use it once per encounter. You flip it to the opposite side to indicate that you've used it. And I'm going to attack this Vargas here because why not? Let me hopefully get rid of him. So I will roll the blue and red dice right here. And I've got only 3 hearts. They will roll this gray die here. And they got 3 shields. So I wasted that heroic feat for nothing. All right, so we are done with that. And now we will proceed to the Overlord's turn. So again, at the beginning of the turn, the Overlord can reinforce. And they can place... the Overlord may place the first time they can place Goblin Archers on the entrance up to the group limit. So they're going to place these Goblin Archers back on the entrance. So they're back in the game. And we're going to look here, and there is fire still going in this location. So now does a face down count as a fire? Each time a hero enters a let's see. It says if the fire markers are face up. Okay, so they do have to be face up. So because they are face up here, we will add a 3rd token here. And there's no Goblin Archers in either the cabin or the house, so we will not add any additional ones. Okay. So now we are going to proceed. We're going to draw randomly 1 card from their hand. And we're going to draw a card from their deck. And it says here we got to do Critical Blow, where the attack gains the surge ability of additional 3 hearts. And I think that's what we're going to go with. All right, so now we're going to trigger the actions based on the monsters that are closest to the heroes. And we're going to start with the Vargas because they're right next to Grizzman here. So let's start with this Vargas here, which will roll a blue and a red attack die. And they missed. Luckily for me, they missed. Okay, so for their second action, they're going to move this way, anticipating the movement of Grizzman himself. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to go right here. And now this Vargas will move, and they will go 1, 2, and they will attack Grizzman here. And they rolled 2 hearts plus their surge ability, which gives him an additional 2 hearts. So that's 4. Now, Grizzman's going to roll defense die. He no longer has the brown die from the Armor of Faith that Averick played earlier. But he does have the regular base gray die. And he has this additional brown die because he has this defense training skill that as long as he has a shield equipped, he rolls an additional brown die for defense. Okay, so here we go. All right, so he rolled 1 shield, but I do have this shield card right here, the Shield of the Dark God. It's a relic card that we earned along the way in this campaign. It says, exhaust this card after rolling defense dice to re-roll some or all of the defense die and keep the new results only if it is better. So it does say that I can exhaust the defense training card instead, and I will to re-roll this. Okay, here we go. And I did not roll a good one. I rolled a worse roll. So now I will exhaust the Dark Shield, the Shield of the Dark God, to re-roll this again. And again, I'm going to keep whatever is the best result. And this time I rolled 2 shields, so that's a little bit better. So 2 shields. They had rolled 2 shields plus the surge, which makes it 4. So 4 minus 2 is 2. So I will take 2 more damage to Grizzman here. And now they will finish their movement. They had started the turn by moving 2 spaces. They still have 2 more movement points left. So they'll move 2 more. We'll do 1, 2, and we'll be waiting for Grizzman this way. Okay. So now we will proceed. The next closest monsters are, I guess, the archers here. So the archer will move to get out of the Eden's way. They will move here, 1, 2, and attack Averick here. And they roll a blue and a yellow dice for attack. And they missed. Luckily for me, they missed. That's awesome. Okay. Now we're going to roll. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. I forgot that I had this critical blow card where it says that a surge can gain 3 attack. So you know what? I'm going to use this retroactively and deal 1 more additional damage to Grizzman the Thirsty here. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. All right, so now this Goblin Archer missed. So now we have 2 more Goblin Archers to manipulate. I think going to the cabin is irrelevant because the way to progress the Overlord's objective is to have another Goblin here in the house and in this special unique space designated by the rule book, by the scenario book. If we could get another Goblin there, that also will be helpful. So let's work our way there. So the Goblin has 5 movement points. 1, 2, diagonal 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. So that's the first action. We'll do the second one. 6, 7, 8, 9, and they are in that unique space, which is going to help them a lot. Then we're going to do this Goblin here, and they're going to go 1, 2, diagonal 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was their 2 action, their 2 movement points. Okay, because they're working towards the house. So this is getting tough. Okay, so now it is the Overlords has 1 more monster to activate, and that's the Eden here. And the Eden has a movement, a speed of 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, and the Eden actually occupies 4 tiles, 4 squared spaces there. And now the Eden is going to attack. They do have a throw action that they could use. And the way throw works is you choose a hero adjacent to this monster. That hero must test their might. And if they fail, you remove the hero from the map and place him on an empty space within 3 spaces of his original space. He counts as entering that space and he suffers 1 damage. So that's great to like get him away from where you want to. But I think instead the Eden's just going to attack. And for their attack, they do roll a blue and a red dice. And hopefully they can deal some damage here. And they rolled 4 hearts plus a surge ability, which for the Master Eden gives him an additional 3 hearts. Oh, by the way, this Eden has the reach ability. He can attack a target that's up to 2 spaces away, even though he's melee. So we have 3 additional hearts plus the 4 that were rolled. That's 7 hearts. So very likely, well, actually it's going to be impossible for Avic to prevent all of these, but he does roll 2 gray dice because he does have the chainmail armor. And he only rolled 1. That is brutal. So because he rolled 1, he will suffer 6 damage. So I guess Averick does bleed after all. Okay, so we are done with the Overlord's turn. We will move on back to the heroes, refresh their respective cards, make sure we want to make any changes as far as which cards we want to have equipped. We do not. So we're going to move on. And we're going to start with Grizzman here. And I think Grizzman, he's going to use his bonus attack. Does he want to use... He's going to use his bonus attack right now. Because if he could get rid of this archer, it would be very helpful, preventing him from going over there. Now, the question is... does he, after defeating a monster, exhaust his card to move up to your speed and perform an additional attack? That's great. Why haven't I been using this advanced... He has this advanced skill, which is very helpful. So I'm going to attack this Goblin Archer here. And I rolled 4 plus a surge. And with that surge, I can force the enemy to re-roll a defense die. All right, so the Goblin Archer is going to roll. And they rolled none, so they're going to have all 4 damage dealt to them, which their life is only 4. So they're defeated, which is great. So now they're going to have to, the Overlord's going to have to work twice as hard to get that Goblin Archer back over here. And I'm going to exhaust this. Ooh, I cannot, because I need to use a fatigue, and I've already used all 4 of his fatigue, and you cannot voluntarily, once you've exhausted all your hero's fatigue tokens, you cannot voluntarily have them dealt to you in order to activate things. Oh, that would have been great. The question is, do I want to take a rest action? Do I want to take a rest action to have healed, to have recovered all that fatigue? Is that worth it? You know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. No, you know what? He wouldn't be able to do that move anyways. All right, so he's going to work. Grizzman's done. He's going to take, he has 2 more actions left. He's going to move up to his speed, 1, 2, 3. And he's going to move up to his speed again, 1, 2, and 3. He's working his way back over to Averick to help him with his own personal water bucket, which, by the way, I never discarded the water bucket token that I used to put out this fire. Okay, now it is Averick's turn. And what Averick really wants to do, let me just set aside these fatigue tokens. What Averick really wants to do is he wants to get rid of that goblin so that there's no additional token added. Well, yeah, at least it slows down the amount of tokens that are added. So he's going to place himself right there, and he is going to roll the red die, the blue and the red die to attack him. And there we go. We have 4 hearts right there. The Goblin Archer is going to roll the defense die. They only rolled 1 shield. That's not enough. Their life is 2, so they're dead as well. And I think I will have used that Blessed Strike action for that attack, actually. I do have to take 1 fatigue, which he has space to take fatigue. And the way it works is if I do at least 1 heart damage, which I did, me and a hero that's adjacent to me, which that is not the case right now, each get to heal up to 2. So I will heal up to 2 damage for Averick here. And let's see, what else do I want to do? I'm going to, each hero within 3 spaces of you gains, roll 2 red power dice each hero. I want to use that when Grizzman is close to me. Okay, so that was 1 action. Let's attack this guy, the Eden here. I think I'm going to use my next 2 actions to attack him. And here we go. We are going to roll this. And I rolled 5 plus the surge symbol, which I will use to add an additional heart there. So that is 4 damage. I could use my surge ability as my heroic ability, which is recover 1 heart on attack rolls. But I think I just want to get the additional attack. So that's 6 hearts. And the Eden here rolls 2 gray dice for defense. Let's see what he does here. He rolled 2 shields. So 6 minus 2 is 4. He'll be dealt 4 damage. His life is 8. So that's halfway to defeating him. And I'm going to use my last action to attack him yet again. And I rolled 4 plus the surge symbol, which I could use for an additional heart. So that's 5. And as long as he rolls 1 shield or less, he will be eliminated. He rolled 3 shields. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So I'll deal 2 more damage. He has 6 damage out of potential 8. And I am done with the hero's turn. So we're going to move on to the Overlord here. We're going to look. There are no goblins and or fire in the house, so no fatigue tokens will be added there. But we do have a goblin here, which will add a 4th token or a token to the location of their choice. So they're going to choose this location here. And because there's a fire, that adds another one. And now there's more than 4 fatigue tokens associated to this location. So what's going to happen is the Overlord is going to discard these, and they're also going to discard a fire token. So this fire token is gone. Okay, so we're done with that. And we are at the beginning of the turn. The Overlord will reinforce and place their goblins at the entrance. Okay, so there's only 1 of these fire tokens left. Hopefully, if the heroes can actually put out that fire yet again by Grizzman getting there with his water bucket, they'll be able to actually rescue a villager, which will be helpful for them in their ultimate endgame objectives for this particular quest. So we are going to trigger the actions. First of all, again, I randomly draw a card from here. We've got the Poison Dart, and then I draw a card from the deck, and we've got Frenzy. So I could either activate a monster to perform an additional attack action. That way they can move twice maybe and attack. That's helpful. And that is what I'm going to choose. So we're going to choose to move the Goblin Archer twice and attack. So how about this Goblin Archer here is going to move twice. So first 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they're going to use their bonus attack action to attack Grizzman here with their blue and yellow dice. And they rolled 3 hearts. Grizzman will roll a gray and brown die for defense. He rolled 2 shields. So 3 minus 2 is 1. He'll deal 1 more damage to him. All right, so now this Goblin Archer still has a movement action left. And because they have the Scamper ability, they can actually move through heroes. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, the Goblin Archers trying to work their way back up there for whatever reason. Actually, you know what? There's no more fatigue tokens left there, so that might not be the best. Maybe the Goblin Archer wants to go back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and really work on ganging up on Averick over here. Okay, so now this Goblin Archer will move twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll just stay here. And they have range. And they have line of sight. They'll attack Grizzman here. Let's just weaken Grizzman as much as possible. So here we go. Oh, they missed. Oh, man. All right. Well, that's good for me. So we're done with the Goblin Archers. Now we will move on to the Eden, which usually I attack with the monster that's nearest first. So I should have done that first. So the Eden's going to roll a blue and a red dice to attack. And they've got 5 hearts. Okay. Now, Averick here rolls 2 gray dice because he has the chainmail armor. He rolls 2 gray dice. And he rolled 3 shields. So 5 hearts minus 3 shields is 2. So he'll be dealt 2 more damage. And for the second action, I think I'm just going to use that to throw him. So he will get off the board. That's what the throw action says. That hero must test their might. Oh, no. Before he actually gets thrown, you'll test your might. So his might for Averick is actually only 2. So you roll the black and the gray dice, and you hope you roll shield symbols equal to or lower than your attribute stat. So I rolled 5 dice. So I'm actually going to fail this test because I needed to roll 2 or lower. So I failed this test, and because of that, I will, what happens here, it says, I remove the hero from the map, then place him on an empty space within 3 spaces of his original space. So maybe we want to place him away from the cabin. So he was here, we could do, or here, we could do 1, 2, and 3. So we'll place him here. And he will suffer 1 more damage because of that. And that's the Eden's 2 actions. Now we will move on to the Vargas. And first of all, we will attack with this Vargas here. So they roll a blue and a red die. And that is 5 hearts plus a surge ability, which for the Vargas gives them 1 more heart. So that's 6 hearts. All right. Grizzman rolls these 2 dice right here. He only rolled 1 shield, but you know what? I'm going to exhaust the defense training in order to re-roll all of these. I rolled 2 shields. So do I want to take 2 shields? You know what? I will. So 6 minus 2 equals 4. He'll have 4 more damage left. I'll grab this 5 and put a 1 back. So he has taken 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage out of a potential 14. Now the Vargas here is going to move back here. Maybe I want to clog up this area here. 1, 2. So that Grizzman here is going to have to do some attacking before he moves through. And then this Vargas here is going to move over here. And he's going to attack Grizzman as well. He'll roll the blue and the red dice. And he rolled 4 hearts. So Grizzman rolls these 2 defense die here. He rolled 3 shields. He'll take it. He only takes 1 more damage. So he's at 12. And now we are done with the Overlord's turn. We will move on to the heroes. Let's refresh their respective cards. We're not going to make any changes as far as the cards that we're going to equip. But we really want to get Grizzman to this place to hopefully put out that fire before the Overlord finally ends this encounter. So, first of all, Grizzman is going to move He might want to rest. Does he want to rest? You know what? He might want to rest. I'm going to rest to heal all of my fatigue. So that'll be his first action. Then for his second action, he's going to move over here. And then for his bonus attack action, he only used one movement point. For his bonus attack action, he is going to attack this Vargas here. Or I could use this Oath of Honor. Yes, I can choose a hero that's within 3 spaces of you, which Avric is within 3 spaces now, and has a monster adjacent to him. He does have the Vargas adjacent to him, and I get to place my hero figure in the closest empty space adjacent to the monster. So yes, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna place Grizzman the Thirsty over here because I use this Oath of Honor. So this is my second action. My first action was the movement action. My second action is... Oh no, my first action was the resting for the fatigue. My second action was the movement. My third action is going to be this attack right here. So let's roll the blue and the red dice here. Oh, goodness. I missed, folks. Is there anything I can do to help myself with that? There is not. That is not good news. Okay. So that was my first action was to rest. My second action was to move. My third action was this right here. But I still had 2 movement points left. So I'm just going to go over here and get closer to the cabin with Grizzman. Okay, now it's going to be Avric's turn. And Avric is going to move... Avric's going to move over here, 1, towards this goblin here. And he's going to do some attacking. So first of all, I think, I'm going to use this Prayer of Healing. I'm going to use this Prayer of Healing in order to, so I'm going to exhaust it, and I'm going to gain a fatigue token, which is my 4th and final fatigue token here. And that will, the Prayer of Healing is going to allow me, choose yourself or an adjacent hero. I'm going to choose Grizzman. He's technically diagonally adjacent to me. He's going to roll 1 red die and recover health equal to that. So let's do this. And he rolled 3, so that's awesome. And it's very important right now for me to heal Grizzman because he really needs to get that water bucket there. So we had 12 damage. We took off 3, so we're down to 9. And also, I have this Armor of Faith. Every time I use the Prayer of Healing, that hero adds 1 additional brown die to his defense pool to the next turn. So that's awesome. He's going to roll 2 brown dice next turn for defense. So that's great because they are going to attack him. Now, I've done 1 action. I moved 1 space to do that 1 action. I still have movement points left. But for my second action, I'm actually going to recover fatigue right here. I'm going to rest right here. And then for my third action, I'm going to do this Blessed Strike attack. I can perform an attack weapon, an attack action here. You know what? Let me not do that. I'm going to grab my fatigue back. I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to use my second action to rest. Instead, I'm going to use my second action to do my heroic feat. Avric Albright's heroic feat, roll 2 red power dice. Each hero within 3 spaces of you, including yourself, recovers that much heart. So that's an awesome way to do it. So I'm going to roll these 2 red dice. Hopefully we'll be recovering lots of health. And I rolled 5 hearts. So that's 5 less off of Grizzman and 5 off of Avric. So that was very, very helpful. So that was my second turn, my second action. For my third bonus attack action, I'm going to attack this goblin right here, who's trying to get close to the cabin in order to progress the Overlord's objective. And I roll these dice here. These are 4 plus a surge, which gives me an additional attack. So that's 5 attack. I will roll this 1 gray die, defense die for the Goblin Archer here. 1 shield, 5 minus 1 is 4. And that is their health. So they are eliminated. So that's awesome. And Averick, so that was his 3 actions, but he still had 3 movement points left to him. So we're going to move him 3 movement spaces. Going to go 1, 2, and 3. He's going to be right next to the Eden here, ready for his attacks. Okay, so we're done with that. We're going to move on to the Overlord's turn. First of all, we're going to put reinforcements. Here's this Goblin Archer back in the entrance. We're going to look at the different locations. Since there's a Goblin here, they get to pick where they want to add a fatigue token. So they'll add a second one here to the cabin because there is still... Oh, no, this is face down, so that's not going to affect anything. So luckily for us, there's only going to be 2 fatigue tokens here for now. All right, so we're going to trigger the monsters closest to the hero. So we're going to start with the Eden here. He's going to use 1 action here to attack. So he will roll this blue and red die here, and he misses. So that's great for me. He's going to use his second action to throw Grizzman here, or Averick, I should say. Averick is going to test his might, which right now is currently a 2. We're going to roll these 2 dice here, hope for 2 or less shields. And we rolled 5 shields, so he definitely fails. He will be thrown. So 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. We'll place him here. And he suffers 1 more damage for being thrown. Okay, now we will move on and we will do the Vargas here. And the Vargas is going to, they're going to move over here. And they can move adjacent to Grizzman over here. And try to inflict damage on him. Yeah, try to inflict damage on him. And let's see what we can do. He's going to roll the blue and the red. And he's got 4 hearts. Grizzman, because Averick used his Armor of Faith, he gets to roll 3 dice for defense this time. He rolled 3 shields. 4 minus 3 is 1. So Grizzman lives to fight another day, even though he actually healed a lot thanks to Averick last turn. So he's not really that vulnerable anymore. All right, so we're going to move this other Vargas over here, and he cannot get to Grizzman, so he's going to have to attack Averick. He'll roll these here. And he rolled 4 hearts. So here are the shields. Two dice that Averick rolls here. And that's 2 hearts, 2 shields. So 4 minus 2 is 2. So he takes 2 damage. We're done with the Vargas here. Now we will move on to the Goblin Archer. And there's no way that they're both going to be able to harm anybody. So, because they're not both going to have line of sight. It's just not going to... Well, actually, no, there is a way. So he'll move 1 over here, and he will attack Averick with range. He rolls a blue and a yellow dice. And he's got 4 plus a surge ability, which gives him 5 hearts. Averick will roll the 2 gray. 4 shields, 5 minus 4 equals 1. Then he will finish his movement action. He still had 4 more movement spaces. So he'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. He'll just move back. And then this Goblin Archer will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll be ready, hopefully. And he will roll the blue and the yellow. And he misses. So he does not deal any damage to Averick here. And the Overlord is done with their turn. And now we will move on to the heroes. We'll refresh these cards. Equip the appropriate cards. And now let's see. We're going to move Grizzman here. 1. And he is going to use an action to throw this bucket here and put out this fire. And because it's face down, we get to eliminate it from the board and gain a villager token as a reward and add it to our hero. And because all 4 of the fire tokens are removed from the board, we are done with this scenario. And it says to read the following out loud. The deep blast of a horn sounds from the north. The goblins flee, splashing back across the river. At first you believed it to be reinforcements from the monastery, but now you realize it was a signal. The goblins were merely a distraction. A small army appears out of the forest to the north, marching on the town's fortifications. So we are done with the first encounter of Caladen's Crossing. I'm going to set the game up and the scenario for the second encounter and also play it for you all. So please click on the video on the screen if you want to see the second part of this quest. Thank you for joining us here on Harriman Board Games. Take care.